Hello there, ladies and gentlemen. Jens Davidson here once again. I'm going to show you how to rectify an issue in the kitchen, and that is an empty container for your coffee beans. Obviously, you can go to the grocery store and buy more coffee that was roasted, 8 months ago, pre-ground, has zero flavor whatsoever, but it's still got the caffeine to wake you up in the morning. Alternatively, if you have a local roaster, as I do here in Janesville, Wisconsin, you can go ahead and buy coffee from them. It was roasted within the last couple of weeks, the optimum period, but it's going to cost you about 16 bucks a pound. An alternative, if you want to get creative and take your coffee to the next level, you can roast your own. So I bought these green unroasted coffee beans from Sweet Maria's. They have a YouTube channel, online store. Super awesome people for coffee. And this is what coffee looks like unroasted. So that's unroasted coffee. We're going to go ahead and roast it, and you're going to see the transformation. So what we're going to do is, I'll show you my roaster in a little bit. We're going to start by weighing out 100 grams of coffee. Sorry, 115 grams of coffee, because my target is to end up with 100 grams, and through the coffee roasting process you lose about 13 to 14%. The beans that we're roasting here, again from Sweet Maria's, are Ethiopia Agero Kedamai Cooperative. They recommend city to city plus roast, and they say it's a clean, transparent sweetness when roasted light, orange flavor, accented cup defines acidity too, followed by peach tea and orange blossom top notes. I'm not great on flavor identification by any means, but I've roasted this stuff before. Obviously this was a 5-pound bag at one point, and yeah, I definitely love the citrusy part of it. That is not subtle at all. So we got our coffee. Let's take you over to the roaster. So the roaster is ugly. Just gonna put that out there. It's ugly because I made it from scratch when I first started getting into welding, which was 2012. So this roaster is based on this a YouTube video where this guy was roasting in his shed, and he somehow had found and purchased an antique, like 1800s German-made drum-style roaster. So when I saw that, I'm like, well, that looks cool, and I think I can make it. It burns alcohol, which is why I've got this can of denatured alcohol. This is used for alcohol appliances, marine stove fuel. You get the idea. This drum roaster, couple simple features. It's got a trap door here, which is what I use to dump out the beans after they're roasted. And then on this end, this is the lid, which still has, oh, there's a bean that didn't come loose. It still has chaff. Chaff is like a skin that flakes off of the bean when it pops. And then inside the roaster, it's hard to see because it's like my cast iron videos, this is very well seasoned on the inside from the oils that come off of the coffee. But there are 2 steel bars that run the length of the drum, and those basically help to agitate the beans, because as you're roasting it, if this is a perfectly round center or body, the beans aren't going to tumble at all. They're just going to sit there and hang out while the drum rotates around them, right? So let's go ahead and dump our coffee in here. The lid's got holes on the outside of it, and those kind of serve to, sort of vent the gases and to allow me to occasionally look as the beans are rolling around in there. I can see the color and monitor the progress that way, because color is one of the key factors. Alright, so now we're going to put alcohol in the burner. So I'm going to use what might look like a pretty scary syringe because it's humongous. Also using a prescription bottle because it's a simple container and it holds just enough. Alright. We've got our beans in the drum. We got alcohol in our stove. This sliding trap that I made is basically a carburetor to help regulate the airflow. Go ahead and zoom you guys in a little bit, maybe you can see better. So, as you can see here, I've got slots cut in. I've got 4 long slots and then a small hole in the middle. And that's how our flame is going to appear. Go ahead and cut the light there. And we're going to need to leave that trap door open for the first few minutes. Once this whole body heats up to full temp, then you'll have a nice uniform burn and you can close the trap door. It goes out a couple times, but again, once it heats the whole body up, it stays lit very, very well. Because this is not super exciting at this point, we're going to fast forward you through the process. Once I start seeing the steam coming off, that's the first sign of progression. We'll come back in. So we're back. As you can see right around here, and on the other side, there's some evolution of steam. It smells phenomenal. And basically, the whole process of roasting coffee is very similar to popcorn. There's some moisture content within the bean, and as you heat it up, some of that moisture content can escape readily from the bean, but I guess the majority of it is within the bean itself. And the steam that we see initially is whatever steam can get released from the bean in its original closed green state, but it'll reach a point where the steam pressure created by the moisture trapped inside the bean becomes so great that it bursts the bean open into a large coffee bean that you're used to seeing. So when we're done roasting, we'll go ahead and we'll compare the finished product of this roasting operation against the original smaller green beans unroasted. Another thing to point out is that, like I said, there's an explosion. So that's the most important criteria to look for when you're roasting coffee, is a pop. And because we're dealing with a large number here, we have 100 grams worth of 115 grams of beans. The popping will occur, will follow the statistical example of a bell curve. So there will be a low frequency of popping, and then the frequency will reach a climax, and then it'll taper back off. And as it's tapering back off, some of those beans that were popping at the start of that first crack, is what it's called, they'll start undergoing the second crack. So we want to kind of be in between the tail end of the first crack before we hit the second crack. That's what the coffee bag there, the label mentioned as City or City Plus. So it's getting close to a dark roast, but not going to dark roast. I don't like dark roast. I like a very light roasted coffee. It's a little bit harder to grind, but there's so much more flavor to it. So we'll go ahead and I'll pause you guys again, and we'll come back when I start hearing pop. Hear it? That's the popping. And you can hear the frequency is picking up. so we'll kind of wait until that frequency sort of drops off. Oh, it's beautiful. Another perfect roast. Absolutely beautiful. I'm just going to let the alcohol burner there smoke itself out. It should be pretty close to done. But this color is absolutely perfect. I'm going to take these outside and blow the chaff off. Alright. They're reasonably cool now. This metal strainer does a fantastic job of sort of wicking away the heat, as well as it allows me to kind of bounce them around like this to get the air going. Cooling them down quickly is very, very important, because otherwise they continue to cook and can over roast. So we started with 115 grams pre-roasted. Watch me spill all of this all over my kitchen floor. Yep, there goes one. We started with 100 grams, we're at 101. I'm sorry, started with 115 and we're at 101. Do the math. That's 87.8%, so we lost about 12.2%. Now let's take a look at the color comparison. So look at the difference in size. The beans have grown in size by, I would estimate, 40%. Pretty significant growth. You can see the bean here, focusing on that little guy. I'll zoom in more. No, that's max. So this bean is closed. To juxtapose that with this one, it's popped open. You can kind of see the white chaff that's inside the bean. Chaff is also on the outside of the bean. I think you can see it right here. So this has some of that flaky, papery chaff that I just broke off. It's paper thin. If you have an open style roaster, that stuff goes all over the place. It's a pain in the butt. But yeah, we just roasted coffee. One of the important metrics of quality roasting method is uniformity of color, and I would say this is pretty outstanding. I've definitely seen worse color consistency from the professional roaster in Janesville here. Not discrediting them, they do a phenomenal job, the coffee's amazing, but I've seen less consistency in color from them. Some lighter beans. I have a couple, like this guy here, and this one back here. But otherwise, this roaster did a stinking good job. And that 100 grams of coffee will last me a few days, several days. Lately I've been using the Flare espresso maker, which is a phenomenal tool. I'll do a more thorough review of it in a later video, but my dose amount on that is only 15 grams, so 150 grams of coffee would last me 10 days, and 10 days is generally the widely accepted window of freshness for coffee. If it's been roasted longer than 10 days ago, you're losing a lot of the flavor that's inherent to the bean and the soil that it was grown in and everything, because all those flavor compounds are volatile. They're stable when the bean is closed and unroasted, so unroasted coffee will last quite a few years, but once you roast it, the bean's open. The roasting process creates a substantially greater surface area, and so those volatile compounds that make up the flavor, they go away much more quickly. And it is significantly noticeable. It's not just talking hocus pocus of coffee. It's significantly noticeable when you have fresh roasted coffee versus coffee that was roasted like Starbucks. Starbucks coffee, good lord, that was probably roasted 6 to 8 months prior, maybe even longer. And it's my understanding that they don't even do all their roasting operations here in the States anymore. Ooh, I just caught that one. Alright, I'm calling it. Mission accomplished. It's getting late. I gotta edit this. See if I can post it tonight. Thank you very much for watching. Hope you enjoyed this video. Please hit the like button and subscribe, and stay tuned for more videos. I'm gonna consider this the start of a coffee series, and it's a fantastic place to start because we are starting with freshly roasted coffee. And so I'm going to do a video series on the different coffee brewing methods that I've got and I've collected over the years. So stay tuned for that. I'll make a playlist of it for all you guys to enjoy and hopefully learn something from. Cheers.